China, Australia's largest export wine market, has announced that it will begin an anti-dumping investigation into Australian wine as our relationship with Beijing continues to deteriorate. The Minister for Agriculture, David Littleproud, has put out a press release saying that it is wrong to suggest that Australia is dumping wine in China. We will speak to him a little bit later in the program, but James Hall is a wine consultant to a number of regional wine producers, including Glenlofty Wines in the Pyrenees. James Hall, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nicole.
What's your reaction to China's announcement of an anti-dumping investigation?
Well, I think like probably every wine producer around the country, it's a surprise. I mean, we certainly weren't expecting anything like this, and I would just agree with the comments that the Agricultural Minister has made, and I think the Trade Minister also, that they're quite ridiculous and false, these claims.
Is Australia dumping wine in China?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's just not correct at all.
So why would China pick an allegation like this out of thin air?
Well, I think probably need to ask the Chinese government. It's obviously there is ongoing challenges that exist. The poor barley producers have copped it, and then beef, and now it seems to be the turn of the wine industry. So, but no, Australia's all about championing free markets, about reducing tariffs and subsidies, not about protecting markets. And the notion of dumping, I mean, the value of Australian wines being exported into China has actually almost doubled in value in the past 3 years. So, we are the second highest. We have the second highest prices per litre of any wine country that's importing wines into China.
And in fact, Chinese wines are much cheaper than Australian wines in China, I understand.
Yes, that's right. And it's, on average, Australia's wines would retail around 3 times or even more the price of the average bottle of Chinese wine. So we're not even in the same segment to be competing. So look, it's those that know a lot more about it than I in terms of the politics and how to negotiate through it, I'm sure will do so. And it is obviously disappointing that something like this has occurred that really is outside of our hands. And I think for me and people I've worked with, it hurts. This decision doesn't just hurt a lot of Australian businesses, it hurts a lot of Chinese businesses as well. I mean, there are thousands, tens of thousands of wonderful close relationships between Australian wine producers and great Chinese businesses that will be hurt by this.
What will it cost Australian exporters?
Oh, look, that I'm not sure. Really,
well, it's a $1.3 billion industry, so that appears now to be under threat. That's not loose change.
No, it's not, and it's 37% of our exports. So, it's a massive industry for us. So it is going to hurt if this all goes through the way that the Chinese government is expressing that it will. But certainly it is. It makes things very tough, particularly with everything else that's going on. But I guess what I'm trying to also say here is that yes, obviously its potential to hurt Australian wine producers is clearly there, but there is an impact on other businesses that are actually Chinese businesses as well. So, it's tough all round. Tough all round, Nicole.
What do you do in an environment like this when you're caught up in this diplomatic row between China and Australia and you're simply collateral damage, it would appear? How do you manage your way through this in the middle of a coronavirus emergency?
Yeah, look, it's another thing to have to deal with. I guess, look, perhaps a little bit of a deep breath. There's always an immediate sort of reaction to this sort of thing, of course, but a deep breath, the getting together of experts to work through this, I'm sure is going to be happening with the greatest of urgency. Certainly from an industry level, that'll be happening. again, there are wonderful relationships that exist, and they'll obviously be worked on as well. So,
but they're meaningless, aren't they, James, at this point? Because obviously the Chinese Communist Party has decided that it wants to inflict some damage on Australia, regardless of the personal relationships that the industry has with the Chinese industry, and this is the result. Yeah,
look, that's true. It really is out of the hands of those businesses that are involved. In terms of the answer as to, well, what do we do about it? I mean, I guess it's all about trying to engage and continue to engage, which from what I read, the government is constantly trying to do. So, but we're dealing with a government, a Chinese government that this sort of behaviour is not unique just to Australia either. It's happening with a lot of other countries around the world, and I think. I don't have the answer. If I had the answer, I wouldn't be doing this. But certainly, the focus of wanting to resolve it will be there. But in terms of addressing these ridiculous claims, it's just not. It's just not what's going on at all.
How can you prove that?
Well, I just know from the strategies that are in place, the programs that are in place, the things that are going on, the way that businesses deal, that this notion of dumping is just wrong. I mean, we are not, we don't have massive surplus situations. We don't have, we're not dumping cheap product. None of those things are occurring. It's just crazy. So, look, it's a decision that seems to be political, and as you said, it's clearly going to impact massively on people. It's certainly another example of the Chinese government sort of pushing its way. I don't think this is how you encourage trust or respect. Certainly we're not on our own as far as the country goes in being treated this way.
You say that it doesn't result in trust or respect. Do you think that this is the Chinese government trying to make Australia respect it? Is this the Chinese government trying to bully Australia into seeing the world view through Chinese eyes rather than Australian eyes? Because it seems to have the opposite effect if you're trying to win respect.
That's true. I think that, and things that from a cultural perspective in going to China, working with wonderful Chinese businesses, is that respect is very much valued and treated as a two-way street. And as I said, there are tens and tens of thousands of businesses that are dealing with each other on that basis. So it kind of flies in the face of what a lot of the Chinese businesses are doing and how they behave. The government is behaving. The Chinese government is behaving in a quite different way.
Great to talk to you. Good luck.
Thanks very much.